Alright, let me get started with this. I am going to be going over blueprint interfaces and how to use them and why and whatever. Everything about blueprint interfaces, and I'm going to show a couple examples. So I'm here. I'm going to click third person and make sure you have the starter content checked here and make sure it's blueprint, because that's where we're going to be running this in. I'm not going to be doing C++. I'm just going to call this interface. Create the project and let it load up. All right, I'm here, Shift F11 to maximize the screen so I can make it big. And let me start talking about what we're going to be doing here. So the interfaces is to it basically defines a common behavior or capabilities that can be implemented by a bunch of different actor classes. And so what I mean by that, it's a method of like communication when implementing the same functionality between different actor classes. An example of this would be like implementing an activation behavior for several different actors and classes in a project. And those actors could include different things. Like for this, I'm going to be doing a door and a light, but you could also do like a car or a window or anything else. So each class is different and is going to perform a different behavior when the open interface function is called. All right, so for these instances, a interface is preferred because you can use the same function to call on all the actor classes instead of casting to each individual one. So there's also the performance benefits when you're using interfaces instead of casting, because as you're loading an actor that casts to another actor, you'll also load that actor to memory as well. And if you don't treat that carefully, this could result in a cascading loading effect, where loading a single actor results in you loading several other actors because they're all intertwined with each other. So this method requires each actor to implement the interface in order to access the common functions. I'm going to show you how to do that. You also need a reference to the actor so you can call the interface function using the reference. I'm also going to show that. So this communication method uses just a one-on-one relationship between your working actor and your target actor, instead of having the casting where you have to reference other actors. So the objective of this that I'm going to go through is I'm going to create an interface with an interact function. I'm going to create an interactive lamp and door actors and implement the interface. And I'm going to modify the third person character blueprint, the one that we use, to call the interact interface function on nearby objects. So what we need to do first is we just need to create the interface. So I'm just going to go in here, I'm going to right click, and I'm going to just look up, it's probably under blueprint and then blueprint interface, but you can also just type blueprint and blueprint interface, and you can just click it here. And this is usually how I do it, but you can also just find it in the menu by finding it in the same place that I was in. So I'm just going to call this BPI underscore interact. So this is going to be the one blueprint interface I'm going to be using to interact with all the different objects we're going to be interacting with. I created the BPI interface. I'm just going to double click in here. I'm going to go in here and I'm just going to rename this to interact. And that's all I'm going to create in this little thing. So I have the interact. Now I need something to interact with. So I'm going to go into the starter content, blueprints, and I have the ceiling light here. I'm just going to right click on this and I'm going to duplicate it, and I'm going to call it BP underscore lamp. And I'm just going to take it and put it in here so I can find it easier. And I'm going to double click on here. I'm going to drag this up here. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to add a custom event. And that's going to be our toggle light. So we have a toggle light, and I'm going to attach this to a flip-flop. And what a flip-flop does is it flip-flops between one thing and the other thing. And I'm going to show you. It's going to flip-flop between A and B. And what we're going to attach to A is we're going to get a point light here. So I dragged off here. You just drag and drop with your left click. And I'm going to drag off of here, and we're going to set the visibility. So A, setting the visibility to not. And then we're going to, if you highlight these and you hold Control and press D, it'll duplicate it for you. And all I'm going to do is set the new visibility to on. Or true. Nothing is going to happen yet because I don't have anything triggering it. So we're going to go into class settings here. And this is how you actually implement the interfaces that you create. I'm going to drop down menu here. I'm going to put BPI, and it should be the interact option. And then you'll see it pop up here. It's going to appear here for interfaces. I'm going to drop down, right click, and I'm going to implement the event. So now I'm going to do this event here. So I'm going to just drag this up here. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to call the toggle light here. And then all you have to do is just compile and save. That's pretty much done. So now I'm going to create the door that I'm also going to create. I'm going to create a new blueprint class. And it's going to be an actor. And this is just going to be BP underscore door. Going to go in here. And I'm just going to add a static mesh. And there's going to be two components to this door. It's going to be the frame. And I'm going to add another static mesh, and that is going to be the door itself. So we're going to click on this, highlight it, the frame first. And you'll see on the side over here, it'll say static mesh, and then we're going to select the door frame, SM door frame. And then we're also going to want a SM door. So we have the frame and the door frame. And I'm going to change this, the location, to 45. I already know exactly how far away it needs to be to fit in there. It's not like I got lucky there. But yeah, but 45 in there, it should lock in right where it needs to go. And now we can go to the event graph. I'm gonna click this, delete this, and I'm going to add another custom event. I'm gonna add two custom events. So, sorry. I'm putting in that, add custom event, and this is going to be the open door, door. And this other custom event is going to be the close door. And I'm actually going to attach this to a timeline. So we're going to have play and reverse. And we're just going to go inside of this timeline. This is a good look at timelines as well. And I'm going to add a track, add a float track. I'm going to change this length to 1. And we are going to add a curve float here. I'm going to change this to 0, and then this to 0. And then I'm going to add another curve float, and I'm going to make this 1 and 1. And then if you hit these two like little arrow things, it'll size it to all the points on the thing so it fits. And you can actually curve this if you wanted to. You can just right click and then you can click auto and it'll curve the line so it's more of like a smoother effect. But you don't need to do that if you don't want to. Anyway, go back to the event graph. And now we want to just grab this door because we want the door to move, not the actual frame itself. So we're just going to grab the door and we are going to set relative rotation. We're going to set the relative rotation of the door. I'm actually going to split this. And we're going to update the relative rotation of the door. So we want to rotate. Let me lerp this. Let me lerp this a bit. And let me add that to the rotation here. This needs to be here. And this B here is going to be 90. And what this lerp does is it interpolates, which allows you to get the steps in between the two values so you can smoothly transition from one to the other over time. And after that, I'm going to get a retriggerable delay. I'm going to make it like 2 seconds. And I am going to close the door after those 2 seconds. Now, just like we did with the light, we also need to do for this one. So class settings, and we need to add the interface. So the BPI interact. And the same thing, we need to implement the event. We have 2 events here, but the one that we're going to have as what we want to be activated is going to be the open door. So we want to open the door, we want the door to open, and then once it's finished, we want a retriggerable delay, which will close the door. And I'm going to compile and save this. Now the final thing that we need to do is we need to go into our actual character. Oops, third person, blueprints, third person character. And we need this character to implement the events. So I'm going to get a sphere collision. I put SQ for whatever reason. Sphere collision on my dude. I don't know what a good radius would be. Let's see. 200. So once something comes in, let me go down here on begin overlap. Once something overlaps with this sphere, which is 200, we want it to interact. Set the interact message. So it will trigger anything with the interact thing on it. The event, sorry. And then the other actor is going to be the target for this. All right, so let me compile and save. Let me test this out. I'm just going to grab my door, just put it right here. And then I can put my lamp over here. And I am going to hit play. And I can see the light is on and this door is here. And it opens for me. And then when I get up to this light, can I reach it? Okay. Put that way too high. Let me drop that back down. All right, hit play. So I have 2 functions here. So the one on the right, the door, is a retriggerable delay. So when I go open to it, when I go up to it, it opens and it's going to close after a couple seconds. And this one is just going to turn off because what I have on this is a flip-flop. So it's not going to turn back on at any point because it's not a retriggerable delay. Instead, every single time I intersect with it with my sphere collision, it's going to turn off or on. So it turned on, and then this one, I go through. And yeah, that's all I wanted to show you with this. Hopefully this was helpful. Have a good one. Bye.